Know the top stories of the day. Understand the issues that matter. This is Manila Bulletin News on Web. Your quick rundown of top news in the country and around the world. Manila Bulletin, celebrating 120 years of timely stories and timeless truths. Be fully informed.
Hi, I'm Barbie Atienza. This is MB Now, and here are your news on web. With the danger posed by the new coronavirus strains, President Rodrigo Duterte has threatened to impose a stricter lockdown if there will be a resurgence of infections in the country. Addressing the nation, the president said he personally does not want to further tighten movement curbs, but he would be forced to implement such measures to ensure public health and prevent virus spread. Duterte explained that he would listen to the recommendation of the government task force that includes health experts on curbing the spread of the virus. With the rise of new COVID strains, Duterte appealed anew to the public to be like Boy Scouts and follow health protocols to avoid getting infected. He particularly asked people who refuse to get vaccinated not to leave their houses to prevent virus spread. Duterte said the Philippine National Police will continue to strictly enforce the quarantine rules to safeguard public health. Duterte also said the country must prepare for the worst in the face of the new coronavirus strain. He said the government must continue to calibrate its preparations against the pandemic, particularly enhancing health facilities.
And if you hindi nyo sumusunod, and may resurgence naman, plus the new variants, mapipilitan talaga akong mag-impose ng lockdown. Maybe stricter this time because hindi natin alam kung anong variants yan. Pag-aralan mo na yan, then they will work on the bakuna with how long we do not know. Including itong ating team sa Philippines. They are at it. And so we just pray that no widespread contamination can occur so that it will not pull us down again in the matter of many sick Filipinos.
The country has administered a record high 120,000 vaccinations in a single day as it marked the administration of more than 3 million doses of coronavirus disease jabs, according to the National Task Force Against COVID-19. Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr., Vaccine Czar and NTF Chief Implementer, reported to President Duterte during his Talk to the Nation address that a total of 120,529 jabs were given on May 15, the highest recorded number of vaccinations in a single day since the inoculation program started on March 1. As of May 17, the vaccine supply stands at 7,779,050 doses, where 7,149,020 doses were already distributed to various hospitals nationwide. Of these, the country has utilized 3,001,875 vaccine doses. 2,282,273 doses were given as a first dose, while 719,602 doses were used as a second dose. A total of 4,147,145 doses have yet to be administered, while 630,030 doses remain in the inventory. However, Galvez said they are facing a dilemma with the observed vaccine hesitation among the A2 and A3 priorities, or the senior citizens and persons with comorbidities. The NTF is eyeing to vaccinate 16,424,963 people belonging to the A1 to A3 priority sectors as it aims to start the vaccination of the general public by June or July. He said that once the vaccination of the 16 million population of A1 to A3 priorities is completed, the country may no longer have to worry about lockdown. These three priority sectors are considered as having the burden of death and disease, as they are most vulnerable to being infected with COVID-19 and being hospitalized. The Department of Health urged the different local government units to implement granular lockdowns in their respective jurisdiction if they observe a spike in COVID-19 cases in their areas. Although the DOH noted a decrease in the number of new COVID-19 cases nationwide, DOH Secretary Francisco Duque III said it is imperative to maintain the gains they have already made. In his report, Duque said that fresh coronavirus cases in Metro Manila are continuously decreasing. He noted that the average daily attack rate of COVID-19 cases in the Metro from April 4 to 17, which was the peak of infections, was 34 cases for every 100,000 individuals, as compared to 13.44 cases per 100,000 population from May 2 to May 15. Meanwhile, the DOH observed a spike in the number of cases in some areas of Visayas and Mindanao. Duque noted an increase of COVID-19 cases in Zamboanga Peninsula, Western Visayas, Mimaropa, Caraga, Northern Mindanao, Soxargen, Davao Region, Bicol Region, Eastern Visayas, and the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. The health chief also reminded the LGUs to strictly implement the various basic health protocols. President Duterte reiterated his stand that the 2016 The Hague ruling invalidating China's claim in the West Philippine Sea will just be rejected by China, calling it meaningless this time around. Duterte made the statement as he on his televised public address last night to talk about the West Philippine Sea issue with former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile as a special guest. The president said it would be pointless to go to the United Nations about the issue because they cannot enforce it. But Enrile said that the arbitral award was not meaningless. Any resolution coming from the UN will not have much effect since the body does not have police powers. Meanwhile, Duterte urged the public to demand the truth about the West Philippine Sea issue from former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV, saying the Philippines lost Scarborough Shoal to China after his back-channel talks with Beijing officials. Duterte made the statement after former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile said that it remained a mystery to him how Trillanes was able to talk to high-ranking Chinese officials when former President Benigno Aquino III and former Foreign Affairs Secretary Albert Del Rosario did not even have that kind of connection. Enrile, for his part, also wondered the same thing, adding that Trillanes should explain his connection with China. In response, Trillanes said Aquino picked him to do the back-channel talks because he was more trustworthy compared to Enrile. The former senator likewise said that President Duterte is diverting the issue. Duterte reiterated that he does not want to go to war with China. According to Duterte, all the Philippines can do now is to talk and talk with China.
For me, sir, the beginning of this problem was when we retreated. And since then, yung mga paperwork about the arbitral award has become meaningless. And the opposite camp of the political side sinasabi that I should do my very best in asking the UN
Mr. President, sa aking paningin, hindi naman nasasayang yung desisyon ng arbitration dyan sa bagay na yan. Sapagkat nandyan na yun na palagay ko nakarehistro yung desisyon na yun sa record ng UN. Alam nila yun. Ang karapatan natin nanggaling din sa UN Convention of the Law of the Sea. At yun gawa ng United Nations. Kaya ano pang kailangan resolution ng UN para malunasan yung sigalot na yan para sa atin. Palagay ko kahit na may resolution ang UN, hindi naman maipapatupad ng UN yung resolution nila. Wala silang police force. Wala namang world government na kagaya ng istruktura natin sa ating bansa.
In Metro News, Manila's COVID-19 facility to be operational by July, according to Mayor Isko. 4 Caloocan resort goers test positive for COVID-19. And Pasay City introduces electronic mamamayan ID through its first ever smart city ecosystem. More from these reports.
Mayor Francisco Isko Dumagoso is optimistic that the Manila's COVID-19 field hospital will be operational by July. Dumagoso said the city is on track with construction of the field hospital at Rizal Park's Burnham Green. During the field hospital's groundbreaking ceremony on April 20, Dumagoso said the city aims to finish its construction in 60 days. Dumagoso said the field hospital will cater to mild and moderate COVID-19 cases. The field hospital, according to Dumagoso, will also help create space in hospitals for non-COVID patients. The Manila Mega COVID-19 Field Hospital has a 336-bed capacity. 4 people who violated quarantine measures by swimming and gathering en masse at resort in Caloocan City on Mother's Day have tested positive for COVID-19 antigen tests, the local government said Monday. One of them currently showing symptoms while the remaining is asymptomatic. This came after the city's COVID-19 command center gathered information of around 287 individuals who visited the Gov't sa Ciudad Resort on May 9. A total of 123 of them were already contacted. Of 43 people who were already tested, the 4 turned out positive. Meanwhile, 80 more will undergo swab tests tomorrow, according to local government. Caloocan LGU warned that the remaining 164 unverified people who have refused and will refuse to answer calls from contact tracers shall be endorsed to Caloocan Police Station. Contact tracers for house visit and ground contact tracing process. Pasay City Mayor Emmy Calixto Robiano launched the city's electronic Mamamayan Identification Card, which can be used in contact tracing, commerce, as a city ID, and an e-wallet for distribution of financial aid. Robiano said the electronic ID will also serve as database for the city's COVID-19 vaccination program schedule. The city said that this will enable the government to provide the needs of the citizens in timely and orderly fashion, as provided for under Republic Act 10121, the Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Act of 2010.
Here are the top news in other parts of the country. Senators OK bill declaring April 28 a holiday in Aurora. Cebu City Bar faces closure after holding a disco party. And North Cotabato Town locks down entire village due to surge in cases. Let's check out the details.
Members of the Senate approved on third and final reading on Monday, May 17, a bill that would make April 28 of every year a special working holiday in the province of Aurora to commemorate the death anniversary of Aurora Antonia Aragon Quezon, the Philippines' first official First Lady. 22 senators voted to pass House Bill No. 5944, which seeks to declare April 28 of every year a special working holiday in Aurora in honor of Aragon Quezon. More known as Doña Aurora, she is the wife of former President Manuel L. Quezon and advocated for women's right to suffrage. Aragon Quezon died in April 28, 1949 in an ambush by members of the rebel group Huk Balahap in Nueva Ecija while on the way to Baler, Aurora. Despite repeated reminders by authorities, a night bar in Cebu City was caught holding a disco party in what was described as a glaring violation of health protocols meant to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Operatives of the Cebu City Police Office or CCPO on Friday rushed to Club Holic in Barangay Capuzao after receiving a report that a disco party was happening in the establishment. Aside from holding a disco party, the establishment was also found to be overcrowded after it accepted customers more than the allowed maximum capacity. The CCPO will be submitting its report to the Business Permits and Licensing Office and EOC, the two offices that will be the ones to decide on what actions to take against the establishment. The local interagency task force against coronavirus disease in Carmen, North Cotabato will place Barangay Poblacion under a lockdown status due to rising infections. Carmen Mayor Moises Erentdain, who also chairs the town IATF, said the decision to declare a lockdown in Barangay Poblacion was reached after the task force has difficulty finding persons who have close contacts with those infected with the virus. Erentdain said the infection was earlier traced to some residents who went to parties outside the town and unknowingly brought in the virus. The LGU has already prepared food supplies for about 15,000 families. The lockdown will be in place until 12 noon on June 1.
In world news, monster cyclone makes landfall in COVID-stricken India. Gaza reels under Israeli strikes as violence enters second week. And Britain eases lockdown as Asia outbreaks fuel concern. Details in these reports.
A deadly cyclone blasted ashore in western India late Monday with fierce winds and drenching rains that turned streets into rivers, disrupting the country's response to its devastating COVID-19 outbreak. Cyclone Tauktae, which said to be the biggest to hit the area in 30 years, has unleashed heavy weather since the weekend that killed at least 20 people in its approach to land. According to Indian Meteorological Department, it made landfall in Gujarat state with attacking winds of 155 to 165 kilometers per hour, gusting up to 185 kilometers per hour. Around 200,000 people were evacuated in Gujarat, where all COVID-19 patients in hospitals within 5 kilometers of the coast were also moved. Authorities there scrambled to ensure that there would be no power cuts in the nearly 400 designated COVID hospitals. Israeli jets kept up a barrage of airstrikes against the Palestinian enclave of Gaza Monday evening as a week of violence that has killed more than 200 people shows no signs of relenting. Airstrikes sent dust clouds billowing into the skyline as the Hamas militant group that controls the besieged and densely populated coastal strip threatened more rocket strikes on Tel Aviv if bombing of residential areas does not stop. US President Joe Biden announced he would talk with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday evening, shortly after diplomats said Washington had blocked a third draft on a UN Security Council resolution calling for an end to the violence. Palestinian militants fired 3,200 rockets towards Israel since the conflict escalated on May 10 in the heaviest exchange of fire in years. Israel's army said Monday it had hit the homes of 9 higher-ranking Hamas commanders overnight, a day after bombing the house of Hanya Sinwar, head of the group's political wing. It gave no details of any casualty. Britons hugged their loved ones and streamed into pubs, gyms, and other indoor venues on Monday as the country eased pandemic restrictions. Cinemas, museums, and sport venues also opened their doors for the first time in months as the United States and Britain move away from harsh restrictions thanks to the rapid immunization campaigns. New strains have forced several countries in Asia to shut schools and impose travel bans, highlighting the persistent global threat posed by the pandemic. With the known global infection now past 163 million and the rise of new variants complicating the fight, governments are ramping up vaccine campaigns, with Germany latest country to make job available to all adults from next month.
In entertainment, singer Ariana Grande has tied the knot with her real estate broker fiance Dalton Gomez in a secret ceremony in California this past weekend. This was confirmed by the singer's representative on Tuesday, May 18. The couple got married at Ariana's house in Montecito. The ceremony was very small and intimate with about 20 close family and friends. Ariana and Dalton got engaged 5 months ago. In sports, President Rodrigo Duterte approved the naturalization of Gilas Pilipinas player Angelo Kouame after the chief executive signed into law the papers that made the center eligible to play for the national team. Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas President Al Panlilio made the announcement on Tuesday, May 18, as he expressed his gratitude to the President and other government officials that helped the Federation in the process to naturalize Kouame. According to Panlilio, Kouame will now undergo the final steps required by FIBA before a naturalized player can suit up for a country, and he expressed confidence that the Ivory Coast-born player will be able to play in two important FIBA-sanctioned meets. The national team is preparing for the third window of the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers scheduled in Clark, Pampanga, as well as the Olympic qualifying tournament for the Tokyo Olympics in Belgrade, Serbia. Kouame won Rookie of the Year in the UAAP 3 years ago as a member of the Ateneo's basketball team. And during the 2019 season, he helped the Blue Eagles to a 16-0 sweep on their way to the title. He moved to the Philippines in 2016. And those are the news on Web today, May 18, 2021. For more news and details, get your copy of the Manila Bulletin newspaper tomorrow, or you can log on to www.mb.com.ph. Or you may also subscribe to our newsletter through the link on this video's caption to have the day's latest news delivered to your inbox. I'm Barbie Atienza for Manila Bulletin. Join us again tomorrow. This has been MB Now. Be fully informed.